and Tim Tam's here. Tim Tam, come on. Come on.
Hey, and welcome to a Thursday Collection Connection, the game that's just an excuse to talk about music. My brother and I play this every week. He does his entry on Monday, I do mine on Thursday. And you can subscribe to both channels to keep up with us. And here we go. On Eric's last play, he gave me Dead Kennedys, fresh fruit for rotting vegetables, or fresh fruit for rotten people, as he called it. So I don't have a lot of Dead Kennedys. I just got a couple of songs that were on a couple of compilations of punk and such. And I didn't, honestly, if I'm honest, I didn't get a chance to delve in it real deeply yet. So I don't necessarily have much to say on his choice, but that album, the first Dead Kennedys record, was generally acknowledged to be sort of the debut into significance of Cherry Red, the UK label that I believe first pressed the album. They paid $10,000 to acquire the rights, and was the first real kind of significant title that made waves. Now, Cherry Red is sort of a prestige label. It's got some cachet about it, but they didn't really sign a ton of original bands. And over the years, in fact, they've gone to becoming more of an issuer of compilations and reissuing back catalog. They now acquire other people's catalogs and reissue that material. So I have quite a few Cherry Red reissues. But as far as bands that were initially signed and first put out their albums on Cherry Red, along with Dead Kennedys, they viewed themselves as a potential home for acts that didn't really fit anywhere else. And one of those bands is the band Felt. Now, if you're like me, I hadn't heard of Felt before their back catalog was reissued by Cherry Red in 2018, remastered and reissued. And I was going to choose their album Forever Breeze the Lonely Word, which I picked up a couple of these reissues, and that's the one I like the best, and I think it's the one that's generally acknowledged to be their best. And it's got a real Hammond organ feel. You can hear how Stuart Murdoch of Belle and Sebastian really kind of took after this band. So they're very much kind of a bedroom pop, like the Smiths, but they predate the Smiths by a few albums. Anyway, the album that I ended up, that was their sixth album. The album I ended up choosing was the other one I had, which was actually released on Cherry Red. Forever Breeze the Lonely Word was initially released on Creation Records, and just the reissue that came out on Cherry Red. But The Strange Idols Pattern and Other Short Stories is the one that I'm making the connection with. The connection being the label Cherry Red. Annoyingly, this reissue series did not take any of the original. The original artwork is not present anywhere, not even on the inside. They were issued in these fancy schmancy boxes, which also included a 45 on vinyl that actually I've never even heard because I don't have the means to play it. Felt is kind of like the Smiths, if the Smiths were founded by the guitarist for Echo and the Bunnymen and fronted by Lou Reed. And it's strange that the Smiths took off so much because they bear a lot in common with Felt, who again predated them. And Felt is basically the vehicle for a guy who just called himself Lawrence, one name, Lawrence. I think he was the only constant maybe through the entire run of the band. They put out 10 albums in about 8 years. And then just called it quits. That was kind of his vision all along. And yeah, you can really feel that sort of Smith's influence in there. And let me see here. Ah, in there, I'm dropping everything. So yeah, Felt, UK band, very much in the vein of the Smiths, but with more instrumentals. The album I was going to choose is their first album that does not have any instrumentals on it. And the instrumentals have a little different feel to the songs with lyrics. They seem to get more kind of thematic. There's a Spanish flavored one. But honestly, I've listened to it several times now in the past few days. It's a quick listen. It's only 30-something minutes long. And but I definitely gravitated to the other one more, but it was not released on Cherry Red. And so, yeah, I will pass that back to Eric. The Strange Idols Pattern and Other Short Stories. Very pretentious band. You gotta love it. I love the Smiths though, and this is right up that alley. And so, yeah, Felt, 1984, I think this album was. I realize I'll have it right in the info. So I think this album, their third album, came out the year that the Smiths debuted. And so, yeah, Eric, there you go. Give that a go. And anybody else who happened to catch my rambling this time out, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.